to your number 7 then, Simon. Who are you going with?
Okay, my number 7, again a Madrid player, but this is a very different era. Probably, I don't know whether any of you will have him, but I'm going with Ferenc Puskás.
I've gone with a teammate of his, but I've gone...
Di Stefano.
Yeah, but in my top 3, I won't give away the exact position. But see, this I basically again had to. I'm glad you got Puskás because I wanted one of them in there. But I was
sort of in a similar position. It's like they're a great strike partnership. I also kind of like his story. Obviously, he's playing in Hungary behind the
They should have won the World. They should have won the World Cup.
Well, I mean, you look at his record international. He scored 84 goals in 85 international games for Hungary.
That's outrageous, isn't it?
It's incredible. And I think just a natural-born goal scorer. I looked over his course of his career.
I'm going to say this as well. There's a reason why, because FIFA have the awards every year.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, there's a reason why the best goal award is called the Puskás Award.
Yeah. So it's just a special player. I mean, I didn't really realise, but he didn't sign for Madrid till he was 31.
Really? I didn't know that either. Wow.
So he was playing for a long time in Hungary, and obviously this is behind communist wall Hungary, behind the Iron Curtain. And then he escaped Hungary, and he couldn't sign for a team for like a year. There's like a ban on him signing for anyone. He tried to get a club in Italy. Apparently, nearly signed for Man United, and they for whatever reason the deal didn't go through. And then signed for Real Madrid. That's obviously the best bit of business Real Madrid have probably ever done at that point.
Oh yeah.
And then he won 3 European Cups. 180 goals for them in 160 games. 7 golden boots as well in that period in La Liga. Christ. But that's what I mean. So you kind of associate him with Real Madrid, but actually it's only really the last bit of his career. Well, his career was at the front end with Hungary.
I can't remember exactly what year it was. I think it might have been around the 58 World Cup, something like that, when Hungary played England at Wembley. And I think at this point, England hadn't lost at Wembley or their record...
Is this, you're going to talk about the 9-1 or whatever?
Yeah, it's outrageous, really.
Outrageous, yeah.
And they should have won a World Cup, that Hungary.
They should have. I mean, they made the final in '54, runners up in that tournament.
Who did they lose to?
I did look it up, but I forgot.
It was Italy, I think it was Germany. Yeah. I think that was Germany's first World Cup. Because I'm gonna have to be sure on this.
But anyway,
did you say East Germany, Matt, or not?
I said, was it East Germany?
No, it would have been West. It would have been West if it was.
But no, anyway, to go back to Puskás, I mean, he's just... To win 3 European Cups and be like so integral to that, what is a great Madrid style.
Yeah, it was Germany in 1954, sorry. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah. But that Hungary team, they played football differently to how anyone had seen football before. Yeah. Like, you look at old football from like the 50s, everyone was static. No movement. There's no interchange of position. Everyone is rigidly, you play this formation and we don't move.
Yeah.
Hungary now, they've got these bombing fullbacks. Everyone's rotating. Everyone's like, what the hell am I doing with this? As you say, and they beat England at Wembley, but they also dipped them away in Budapest as well.
Yeah, they did.
I think they did them 7-0 away and 9-1 at home in the space of like 2 months or something. And if that doesn't like prove the quality of that Hungary team as a whole, as I say, and then again, the other interesting thing about Puskás is right at the end of the career, he played for Spain as well. He switched nationalities.
It's kind of nuts that actually, yeah.
So again,
were you allowed to switch back then?
Kind of, yeah. It was a bit. The rules were a bit flakier then.
Yeah.
But he only Di Stefano did a similar thing. Di Stefano did a similar thing as well. So yeah.
So as you say, those two as a pair, they scored bucket loads of goals. I mean, won all the European Cups, and they're probably the birth of the Galacticos as an idea. No, they are really. Like Real Madrid don't exist without Puskás and Di Stefano in their current.
No, they don't. No, they're still having an impact. They're still part of the reason why that club is where it is today, and that's huge. When you think that Real Madrid is the most successful club of all time, at least in terms of European Cups and Champions Leagues. Yeah, I think I might delve into Di Stefano a little bit later on. As I said, he is in my top 3. I won't give away the exact number, but
as I said, and you talked about the Puskás, I think that's a really nice thing to do for a guy who scored such unbelievable goals. Great player, deserves all the accolades he's got, and I wanted to get someone from like that kind of era, like because I think they don't get enough recognition.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah,
I had a fair. I've got a couple more from that kind of era. So yeah, that was your number 7. Then my number 7 we'd already discussed at Paolo Maldini. Moving into your Europa League spots, then who's your first Europa League spot, Matt? Number 6.
We've already spoken about it, Ronaldinho. So
Ronaldinho.
we'll move on to
He was
Simon.
also my number 6. So Simon.
Yeah.
Back to me then, is it?
Yeah, back to you.
So my number 6, I think, is probably quite high, but I loved him, and I think people forget how good a player he was because at the end of his career really tailed off. Kaká.
He was brilliant.
I'm just gonna say this now. He's my number 5.
Oh, so hang on
yeah.
1 second. So Matt, Kaká over Ronaldinho. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, so I've got Kaká over Ronaldinho as well.
You have as well. You have. So what? So yeah, you're right. Of course. Yeah. So what's the thinking behind that from both of you?
Well, you go first.
So yeah, as I say, I think it's partly because I loved him. I think he's one of those players that I remember. I remember the game he played at Old Trafford in the Champions League semi-final. He scores a hat-trick and he's unplayable, absolutely unplayable. And he was the best player in what was a great AC Milan side.
Yeah. He was the best player.
Everything flows through Kaká. He wins the Ballon d'Or in 07. Absolutely deserved it as well. But again, he's one of those players who's an orchestrator. Like I talked about Xavi being an orchestrator. Just Kaká was the same, but he had goals as well, and he got assists. And he's just one of those players who seems to be everywhere. Like you can't mark him because he's all over the place. He's got the skill, he's got the teamwork, he's got
and you could almost say
complete package.
You could almost say to a certain degree, where Ronaldinho was an amazing player on his own, Kaká got a lot out of the players around him.
Yeah.
Which kind of going into answering your question.
To be fair, I will say this actually. One thing that I do think really works, say more so in Kaká's favour than Ronaldinho's, is that I think the decline in his career really boiled down to the injuries more than anything else. Whereas with Ronaldinho, you couldn't really say the same thing.
Yeah, because I remember he was linked with like £80 million move to City because when they just got their new money.
Yeah, I was praying that was going to go through.
Everyone was like, Kaká in the Premier League would be unbelievable.
I was absolutely praying for that, and then he went to Real Madrid, didn't he? Was a year later he went to Madrid?
I think it was the year after, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you why I loved him as much as I did.
No, he was just a special player.
He was a special player, but I think he's too high probably in this list. But I think he was so good.
I suppose
similar problems of Ronaldinho. He burned so bright, but not for very long.
But as I said, I think with the injuries, you can kind of excuse it a little bit more. Whereas with the Ronaldinho, it was a bit more. And again, I feel like we have hammered Ronaldinho a little bit, but it was. Yeah. I do feel like his decline was more of his own doing, whereas Kaká it was just a shit because the injuries. That was what done him, and he never. I remember just him at Madrid, and I really wanted him to take off at Madrid like he'd done for Milan, and it just never happened.
I think it's kind of this is the greatest GOATs, who aren't in the GOATs list. If he stays fit and carries on his form at Milan at Real Madrid, he's up there. He could have done what Messi and Ronaldo have done. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. And he was good off both feet. He was quick. As I say, he was a free spirit. You didn't know where he was going to turn up. You couldn't mark him. Breaks in front of the centre forward, takes it off the defence. He was just everywhere. Yeah. And just a player I've really admired watching as a kid as well. So I think there's a little bit that starry-eyed of, this guy, I love this guy. And I think today's generation, they take the mick out of him a little bit because they don't remember.
Think so?
I don't think he gets the reverence he deserves.
I agree with you there. I don't think people talk him down, but I agree they don't. I feel like a lot of people might go, actually, I wouldn't even have him in his 10.
Because he was the last player to win the Ballon d'Or before the Messi Ronaldo dominant era. Yeah. So people kind of go, he's kind of a bit like he didn't really deserve to win it. Look, it's just Messi.
He's
Ronaldo.
like stuck in between a period of history.
So you've got Ronaldinho wins 2 out of the 3 before him. Yeah. And then Messi Ronaldo win all the ones after, and it's just like, who's this guy in the middle who won 1? Like he can't have been that good because he only won 1. But he was so good.
No, he was so good. I don't think, as I said, I don't really.
Maybe take the mick is too much. I don't think he gets the reverence.
I was going to say I don't think he gets disrespected.
I think
because
some people
we've all seen that great video of Kaká playing like 7-a-side in London, and there's that geezer going, pull it back, and I'm like, mate, you're asking Kaká to pull it back. Are you taking no? Honestly, like
the other one is when someone not Messi and goes, everyone like, oh my god, he's just nutmegged Kaka.
But can you imagine that? But no, honestly, if that was me, I could be on the goal line, no keeper at all. Kaka could be next to me on the goal line, and I'd still just say, "Yeah, you can roll it in."
Kaka could be 30 yards out with like 3 men around him. You'd be like, he's probably better off taking the shot there.
Yeah. I'd be if he passed it to me, I'd miss the ball because I'd be like, "Why the fuck has he passed to me? He should have gone on himself." But yeah, no, he was brilliant and absolutely incredible player. Again, just a joy to watch. You know, at Madrid, there was sparks here and there, and it was just a shame he couldn't get it.
It's a fact by like 30s in Orlando, isn't he? 31. He's already in the MLS.
But
I just think had he stayed fit, he could have really been something special.
Well, he retired in 2000.
Very early.
Well, that was, to be honest with you,
considering he started his career in 2003, 2001, isn't a very long career.
No.
But like at the time, he looked unplayable.
You think of that 2006 World Cup squad, they should have won it that year. Other than maybe England, I think they were on paper. Us and probably Brazil had the best 2 teams in that tournament, I would say.
Now, was Kaká as a very young player part of that Brazil squad in 2002?
I can't remember. He might have been, but I'd have to double check it.
I think he may have snuck it in there.
He might have done. They might have just taken him for the experience. But if he did,
like a very young player.
But when we did our World Cup winners, they had a couple of really crap midfielders in there. So I don't know whether he was in there or not. Like that Kleberson was in that 2002 World Cup. I don't know if
Kaká was in there.
Oh, he was in there.
World Cup. Yeah.
Fair enough. But that 2006 tournament, it really should have been his and Ronaldinho's tournament, shouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Honestly.
But no. I get why as I said, like he's one of those players that I just can't even argue with. He's
so good.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. So that was your first Europa League spot, wasn't it, Simon? So
yeah, my number 6.
Yeah, moving into your automatic Champions League spot, then your number 5, Matt. Who are you going with?
So we've already spoken about it's Kaká. So,
of course. So
back to me again.
Do you want me to jump in?
I'll have to come in.
Okay.
I'll have to jump in. So my number 5, one of the great players of the 80s, French centre forward. We won't talk about his spell at UEFA, Michel Platini.
You know what? Yeah, no, because you're right. He's phenomenal, but it's sad. It almost tinged like I can't. Because again, I talked about this documentary series that I watched, and he was one of the players that I watched. And again, I've since looked back at his career, and it just phenomenal footballer. It's just now it's so annoying because that again, the whole UEFA thing, it overshadows it for me now, and it's probably harsh on him from a footballing perspective, but it's probably why I opted away from him on this list.
Yeah, I mean.
So do you just want to talk for those who might not know? Do you just want to explain
why
he's being shunned from this list? I guess
because he's corrupt as fuck.
Yeah.
That's in a nutshell.
If Sepp Blatter had played football, he would have been Michel Platini. That's it, basically. That's how you sum that.
But no, when you look at his goal scoring record, phenomenal. Golden Boot winner at the European Championships.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I love. Because it links into Ipswich as well, which I think is partly why I always think of him when I think of great players. Because I remember we played Saint-Etienne on our run to winning the UEFA Cup in '81. So it's non-conquering like Saint-Etienne on the French side with Platini as the front man, and we beat them 7-2 on aggregate. So that was always the link to Ipswich, and I always loved the fact that we played him and we played that well against that team.
Yeah.
But some of his finishes, fantastic. Just dead-eye accuracy. Like you see those old videos, like 1-on-1, he's going to score. You know he's going to put it in. And I think did they win the Euros in '82?
It was 80. No. Yeah, it was 80. I don't know because the World Cup would have been 82.
No, 84 or 82. Then it was around that.
Yeah,
not 1984.
Yeah,
got it here. Yeah.
And I think he was Golden Boot that tournament.
They finished 3rd place in the World Cup. I'm trying to think in 1986.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that shows the mark of him. He was a great player in a great France side. I think he was a very, very talented footballer and probably slightly overlooked in terms of he's kind of sandwich in between Pele and Maradona.
Yeah.
So similarly to Kaká, people kind of go, they forget that brief period where Platini was excellent. They kind of go, Maradona's here, Pele's here, and you kind of miss that crossover bit.
Yeah, and I think when we did our tribute to Maradona, I think I said it then. He had Platini came out with this great quote of what he could do with a football, Maradona could do with an orange. So even though there's a slight bit of crossover there, it's still but no, brilliant football. Great career.
I think you just describe him as a great goal scorer. I'm not like he just had that ability just to score goals. He just took the chances.
Yeah. So, all right, then moving on to my automatic Europa League spot, and I have gone with arguably the best striker of our lifetime. I've gone with the original Brazilian Ronaldo.
So he's in my top 3.
Okay, we can save him for later if you want.
Okay.
Matt, you've no crossover there? No. So, all right, your number 4 then, Matt.
My number 4, an outstanding player. I would say he's probably a bit high now I think about it, but it's Luka Modric. And for me, I think he was just such an influential player at Real Madrid. I love watching him play football. And yeah, he's just so fantastic. In looking back at it, he's probably a little bit high compared to some of the players I've got below him. But
I mean, I'm kind of thinking Xavi's 9. They're probably similar.
I would agree. I would agree in that sense. Like,
I don't disagree with Luka Modric as being part of this.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's just the how high.
Yeah.
That kind of shocks me, but
I put him in the list to start with, and I just don't think I moved him down. But I think just to talk about Luka Modric though, I love watching him.
Brilliant player.
His range of passing is phenomenal.
And I think sometimes he was, especially during the really dominant years at Real Madrid. Personally, I think he was one of the, I don't want to say underrated, but because you're playing next to Ronaldo, right?
Ronaldo, that was going to be a problem.
But I think certainly he was one of the more influential.
I think like Xavi, he gives everyone else license to play around him. I think that's what he gives to that Madrid side: the balance, the range of passing. I forgot what I was going to say then. It's interesting because you think those first couple of years in Madrid, they were talking about this £30 million flop.
They were calling.
They were pushing him out the door.
Yeah, the fans had a vote, and he was voted the worst signing in Madrid history. Which, when you consider that before that, they'd signed fucking Jonathan Woodgate. That's ridiculous.
Hang on, Thomas Gravesen.
I know.
As well.
Julian Faubert played for them, and I loved Faubert for West Ham because he was a bit of a cult figure. But come on, you're telling me
Emmanuel Adebayor.
Yeah. You know, I know we'd only been there a couple of years at that point, but you're seriously telling me the Madrid fans thought he was the worse than them? Like,
I would say he's definitely not worse than them.
No. In those, when they did that vote, obviously they wouldn't vote that now, but yeah.
Well, now he's revered as one of the greatest Madrid players
ever.
Certainly of this century, and probably of all time as well.
4 Champions Leagues, nuts.
And do they win it without him? I don't think they do. The way
again, there's a few players. Obviously Ronaldo. You really take away Ronaldo, Ramos.
That's the spine, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the spine of the team. You've got Casillas as a keeper, Ramos, Modric, Ronaldo. I mean, that's fine. Everyone else can play around that if they want to.
Yeah, no, that La Decima, Xabi Alonso was fantastic for them, but he moved on after that season, and
Tony Kroos doing that as well. Tony Kroos is another. Those two midfield as a pair were excellent.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a perfectly good shout. Maybe it's slightly high, but
slightly high. I meant to move him down.
Yeah, I know. But when you, as you said, I think as well, because international career. Obviously, I know he was playing for Croatia, and they weren't nearly the same level of strength as that Spain team was as a whole. And to be fair, I think if you take Modric out of that team, that Croatia team might have not only probably lost to England, but might have gone out even earlier.
I mean, they could have gone out on penalties to Russia, couldn't they?
And Denmark the round before that as well.
Yeah. So, one of the best games I've ever seen him at was when they were playing when they were against us. I thought he was outstanding.
You're right. He was phenomenal. And as I said,
I think it's almost because you're not so distracted by obviously, I'm not saying Croatia don't have great players; they do, but it's almost he is.
No, that
I'd say he's
team,
the
that
biggest
team
name
was
in
still,
that
team
team.
was still a very good team, but I think without Modric in it, especially having taken the lead, that early in the game, I think they wouldn't have been able to have wrestled it back from us if Modric wasn't in that team.
A question for you guys though: does he deserve that Ballon d'Or that he won? Was it last year? Or
2018,
before?
he won it because that was the World Cup year. And no, I think Messi should have won it that year.
The only reason why they gave it to him was they won the Champions League. Yeah. And usually the Ballon d'Or winner is the Champions League winner.
That and obviously the combination of him helping Croatia to the final.
Personally,
I would have still given it to Messi that year. And
who won the Champions? Oh, Real Madrid.
Yeah, possibly even Ronaldo over Modric that year. But he was brilliant. It
was always a bit of. I don't think anyone really expected it.
No,
because we're just so used to that dominance.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time anyone had seriously talked about it not being Ronaldo or Messi for a long time.
Possibly, I do remember there being shouts of like Neuer and even Xavi and Iniesta. There was a couple of years where both of them came second and third a couple of times.
Yeah, but it was always one of Messi and Ronaldo were going to win it, and this was the first time I think people were saying maybe they won't.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so that's my number 4. Have we done your number 4?
No, not yet.
Right. Go on,
my number 4, similar era to Puskás, a bit later though. In the 60s, Portuguese centre forward Eusebio.
Okay, so Eusebio is my number 3, so we can go over that now.
We'll go over that, yeah. Powerful, strong, quick centre forward. Again, probably because he's in the same era as Pele, doesn't get the same status, and obviously doesn't win an international tournament,
and because he didn't win a World Cup either. Again, like I think it's harsh because when you look at the complete striker, I think he's one of the earliest, at least from that time period, that I can really think of. Phenomenal striker. His goals,
quick, strong, good in the air, good with both feet, can score from anywhere.
Mm.
And
so he was part of that World Cup winning side.
No, they didn't win the World Cup.
No,
Portugal. He's Portuguese.
Right, okay.
The best they did was they finished third in the 66 World Cup, and Eusebio carried them there. And there was this famous game, funnily enough, in that tournament. Was with North Korea. And who had they knocked out in the previous round, North Korea?
South Korea.
They knocked out someone good.
Yeah, they knocked out someone good.
Was that not in the group stage?
It might have been. I'm not there, but they'd played. I think they played and beaten someone good in the previous game. And obviously North Korea is still just about as much of a footballing powerhouse now as they was back then. So this North Korea team was like nobodies. And again, I'm really annoyed. I can't remember who the team was that they beat, or at least gave a game to early on. And here's the thing, right? When
was the last time they even qualified?
2010,
yeah, 2010.
Did they qualify?
Yeah, I've got
Portugal.
I've got a great World Cup. I've got a couple of great North Korea World Cup stories from that World Cup. So they went North Korea, right? And this is Portugal with one of the best players, if not the best out-and-out striker in the world at the time. North Korea went 3-0
North Korea beat Italy.
Yeah, that's why they beat Italy.
1-0.
Italy they beat.
And they qualified.
North Korea ever beating Italy in football ever.
They qualified for the second round as well.
What happened? Yeah. Was it a 1-0 Tony Pulis backline?
Probably what happened was as well that nobody had ever heard of these North Koreans. They probably went, we're going to put like 10 past this lot. And they were 3-0 down to North Korea, Portugal. And Eusebio, he scored all 5 goals.
I'll give anyone £5 if they can tell me what stadium that game was at.
Was it Goodison Park?
It wasn't Goodison Park. I'm talking the Korea game. The Italy one, not the Portugal one.
Oh, right. Portman Road.
No, it's Essen Park.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Middlesbrough. Yeah, but you're right. It was Goodison Park for the Portugal game.
Oh, that's why that was on my mind. Right. Okay. But yeah, they were. Imagine being 3-0 down to North Korea. They were 3-0 down to North Korea, and I think Eusebio scored all 5 goals, and Portugal won the game 5-3. He scored 4. They won the game 5-3.
Yeah, he scored 28th minute. 2 penalties in the 43rd and 61st, and another one in the 57th minute.
Yeah, the guy was a machine. The guy was an absolute machine of a goal scorer. Incredible. And really, part of because he won the European Cup in '62
with Benfica.
Yeah, and part of what really ended that Real Madrid dominance. I know they'd won they'd lost the year before in '61 Madrid, but from '55 to '60, Madrid had won the first 5.
And was he part of the Benfica side that lost to the Busby Babes in?
Yeah, he was, because Benfica lost in '68 to United. I think he lost a couple of finals actually. They might have even lost the '61 final. I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but yeah, he lost a couple of finals and they only won it once. But as I said, part of them breaking that dominance was down to Eusebio and Benfica.
Yeah. But again, he's overshadowed, isn't he? Because the majority of his career, Pele's there.
Well, he was called the European Pele or the African Pele, I think, because he was.
Yeah. Was he Mauritian or something?
Yeah.
Like Mozambique.
Yeah.
I
think he was referred to as the African Pele.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So no, great. I think that's a great shout at number 4 there, Simon. So sticking with our, this kind of 66 era, I'm going with arguably the greatest Englishman who ever kicked the ball, Bobby Charlton. Absolute phenomenal. And we talked about Franz Beckenbauer earlier, and part of the reason why I ended up just slightly going with Charlton instead of Beckenbauer was because in the 66 final, they were... you've gone.
One sec, mate. Let me turn you up.
Yeah,
Simon's...
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, was it? Oh, okay. That would explain why he's just gone.
Oh, I can't even fucking hear you. Why? Hello?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me, mate?
I don't know how to invite.
Hear anything?
Can you hear me, mate? I can hear you. Can you hear me, mate? Yeah.
Yeah, can do. Sorry, mate. We're just figuring something. We had some technical issues.
Yeah, no worries.
Are we back? Can you hear that?
Yeah. Have you stopped recording on Audacity, I take it? I mean, we should be okay.
Well, I didn't stop recording. It shut down.
Is it still open or not? I take it.
No,
no.
I can hear now.
Oh, fuck. Cover projects.
Should I stop recording?
Hang on.
Hello?
Thankfully, my Zoom has been recording the entire time as well. My Audacity is still recording.
Okay, sorry, mate. So
I can start recording again now.
Did it lose it?
No, I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on. Let's just do a quick clap again, so that then we'll know where we are, just in case. So hopefully Zoom. I've not left the meeting, so hopefully when I stop, Zoom will be able to pick it all up anyway.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm invited, so it's fine. So you were talking, so we'll just
we'll do a clap on 3, 2, 1. So 3, 2, 1. So yeah, my number 4, I've gone with arguably the best English player of all time. I've gone with Bobby Charlton, and we mentioned Franz Beckenbauer earlier, and part of the reason why he's probably a little bit unlucky not to make the list is because famously in '66, Bobby Charlton and Franz Beckenbauer were so influential for Germany and England respectively that both their managers gave the other one the job of man marking the other. So in the final, Franz Beckenbauer and Bobby Charlton basically weren't really in the game at all because they were completely man marking the other one out of it the entire time. So that was what enabled Bobby Moore and Jeff Hurst to just run the show ultimately in the end. And yeah, you look at, for so long, record goal scorer for England, record goal scorer for Man United. He could hit it with his right foot, left foot. He just a complete midfielder, Bobby Charlton, and the longevity of his career, outstanding. And I think the test of character as well. He had to endure. He was very, very young at the time. He had to endure something that probably no human being should ever have to endure. And having endured the Munich air disaster in '58, had he, even stopped playing or whatever, I feel like no one would have really blamed him. He'd seen, a lot of his teammates had sadly passed away, and obviously Duncan Edwards was regarded as the best player the world never saw because he was so young and he was supposed to be the best of the Busby Babes. But no, for him to have the career that he did, the longevity that he did at Man United, absolutely phenomenal. As I said, up until recently, up until Wayne Rooney a few years ago, England's all-time top goal scorer, Man United's all-time top goal scorer, won the World Cup, won a league title, won the Champions League, part of the first English team to win the Champions League.
And he was a midfielder
as well. That's
you talk about the goal scoring record. He's a central midfield player.
Yeah, a central midfielder, the complete midfielder. He could pass it. He could, his shots from outside the box were unbelievable. He had, and we're talking these old school balls that are like kicking bricks shaped as.
He always used to say he never used to aim a football. He used to just kick it hard and hope it sort of went. If it went in a corner,
that's complete. That's like muscle memory, almost like it's crazy but phenomenal footballer. There's a reason why
they still do it today.
Probably not so much today. No, you know what? As well, it's really sad. Actually, he's got dementia now.
Yeah,
he's been.
I didn't mean actually today, but I meant in today's.
Oh, if he played, 100%, he could.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I'll ask a different question. How much would he be worth in today's game? That'd be a good question for some of these.
And it's a different time because there's so many more players.
He could, because he almost wasn't about the physicality. Bobby Charlton, his passing and his shooting and his engine as well.
Yeah, impeccable timing of his runs to get into the box late, ghosting, like the Frank Lampard run late into the box, edge of the box. Get on the end of things.
Again, I think with the players, the older players we've mentioned so far, other than Garrincha from a lifestyle perspective, I would say all of the ones that we mentioned so far could do it in today's game. Yeah. I would say all of the ones that we could, if they were brought through, obviously, with the same fitness regimes and nutrition, 100%, 100%, he would be a phenomenal footballer in today's game. No, I've got no doubt about that in my mind. Unbelievable, Bobby Charlton. My automatic Champions League spot, my number 4, possibly United's greatest ever player. As I said, I think that England's best ever player. And as I said, rendered. When you think of some level of the player that Franz Beckenbauer was, the fact that the two of them rendered each other useless when they met in the 1966 World Cup final. And when we were knocked out against Germany in 1970, we were 2-0 up and he was subbed off because he was getting really old by that point. He was in his mid-30s by that point. We subbed him off and we did have a really dodgy keeper. I can't remember the keeper's name because Banks was injured. And then we subbed him off. And we conceded 3 goals. So you've got to think that had we played the full 90, we might have won that game. Who knows?
You never know.
You never know. So no, Bobby Charlton for me. My number 4, excellent player. Your number 3 then, Matt, who's your automatic Champions League spots?
I'm guessing, this is going to be interesting because we said we weren't going to talk about the number 3s. So for me, my number 3 is Brazilian Ronaldo.
Oh, great!
Either of yours.
Yeah, he's number 2 on mine. I said it was.
We might as well cover him now.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
George, was he not? Am I right saying not on 6?
No, he was my number 5.
5.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So I think is he the only one that we've all had so far?
Yes, I think
he is.
I think we all had.
Oh, we're on Ronaldinho as well.
Ronaldinho, yeah. No, we didn't.
But much lower down.
Yeah, me and Matt had Ronaldinho dead on.
Where do you start with Ronaldo? I was going to say Ronaldinho. We've already covered it.
Not the haircut in 2002. We don't.
Not the haircut.
You like starting with the haircuts, Matt, so I thought I'd beat you to the punch this time.
I like cracking hairdo. No, I was such an influential player at his time. I think he's probably like looking at my list, he's probably one of the only players. He's probably the player that retired the earliest in my list.
Well, he was drastically out of shape by the end, wasn't he? That's why they all called him Fat Ronaldo. But outside of that,
well, I mean, I think it still stands to how fantastic he was as a footballer. That he kind of could play a little bit out of shape, and he was so talented that he could still
probably the perfect striker. I would say probably the perfect striker. And the thing, because the thing that I really want to talk about is, Matt, you might not be aware, but in the '98 World Cup when France won, they were playing Brazil in the final, and before the game, Ronaldo had passed out. It was, what did he have? It was something like
I don't think they ever knew exactly.
No,
what it was.
he just seemed to pass out.
He fainted, I think.
Yeah, he passed out
in the game.
No, before the game kicked off.
Okay,
so there was a massive news story because the team sheet seemed to drop, and they were like, "There's no Ronaldo." And up to that point, Ronaldo had been the player, like one of the if not the player of the tournament, up there. And the team sheets dropped, and the whole world was like, "What's going on with Ronaldo?" And then a little while later, I think it was Gary Lineker who was just, he wasn't even presenting at the time. He was just covering it for the BBC. And then he's gone, "Oh, I'm getting a word in my ear now. It turns out that we've all been, done over by the greatest hoax in World Cup history. Ronaldo is in the starting lineup, and he will be playing today." But you could tell he was right. He was not right. Yeah. He wasn't. And then that, obviously, they were effectively playing with 10 men. France won the game 3-0, comfortable, winning their World Cup in their home nation. But do you reckon that Brazil might have won? I know it's difficult to say, but do you reckon that Brazil? I certainly don't think it would have been 3-0 in the way it was.
Well, I don't know who their number 2 was, but he's not Ronaldo.
It's as simple as.
So there's a market drop in quality from the teams that they put out in the semi-final and the quarter-final. But as you say, it would be better to have a player who was fit than not. And you have to carry one of them. Yeah. But does that show a mark of how good Ronaldo was? That they thought he was so undroppable. Yeah. That he could faint before the game and still put him in there. Yeah. I think that's kind of a mark.
Probably wouldn't be allowed today.
And the thing,
he probably would have failed all kinds of concussion protocols.
Today it could never have happened today. But as Simon said, it does show you exactly how highly they thought of him. That the geezers passed out an hour or so before kickoff, and they've still gone, "We're gonna have to start this guy because we can't not."
He's so good.
Yeah,
but I think I don't know if you've watched the Bobby Robson documentary, More Than a Manager, which is really good. But Ronaldo's in that, and he reckons Bobby Robson signed him for Barcelona, and you hear Bobby talk about him. He's like, he's the most complete player he'd ever worked with. He's the best player he's ever seen. And for that season in '97, and Ronaldo says it's probably his best ever year, his first season at Barcelona. He scored 30 odd goals. He's quick. He's terrorizing defenses. He's in shape. He's just so electric, so electrically quick, but he's powerful and he's a good finisher. And he was a master of that little sideways getting around the goalkeeper.
For me, the stat when I first get into football and start learning about who Ronaldo was as a player. The stat that stood out to me more than anything is in La Liga, and I know he didn't spend his whole career in La Liga, but that's where I think we'll agree is probably most proficient.
Inter Milan, he was quite good at Inter Milan.
Yeah, he was bloody good at Inter Milan as well. But the thing for me with the La Liga is he had 164 appearances in La Liga, and he scored 117 goals and had 34 assists. It means he averaged over 112 minutes. He scored a goal. Those numbers are just fantastic.
Certainly back Messi and Ronaldo's numbers that shows how crazy their numbers are.
I mean,
that's insane numbers, but Messi and Ronaldo's are better.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I think he was brilliant. The thing that for me that I really quite liked is that because obviously you had the whole thing with the '98 World Cup, but then he had the character in 2002 because I think a lot of players would have mentally struggled to go into the next tournament after that had happened to you because even though it wasn't really his fault, you would have felt that you'd have let the nation down in '98, and to then carry them to that, to win that in 2002. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And obviously up until 2014 he was the record goal scorer in World Cups. Miroslav Klose beat that, but
that's 14 goals I think he got, which is crazy. considering tournaments are at most 6 or 7 games
exactly,
long.
yeah, 14 goals. And as well, the game that I really want to talk about was when Real Madrid played Man United, and he
got applauded by the home. He got applauded by the home for scoring a hat trick.
Exactly.
That's how incredibly he played in the game.
Can you imagine applauding a player that scored a hat trick against you? That's how good he was. And I remember it happening at the time and being so young.
When was that, like 02? Something like that?
It was 02, 03, something like that. And I remember being so young at the time. Like, my mum and dad wouldn't let me stay up to watch the second half, and I was gutted. And then, you better believe that as soon as I could like access the highlights, I was all over that. Yeah, no, it was one of those. It was, as a kid as well, it was probably the first time I'd ever seen not only another team, but in particular an individual player like dominate Manchester United, who had been like peerless. It'd been one thing seeing, Arsenal win a league title, but I never seen a team up to that point obliterate Man United in the way that Ronaldo did in that game.
On their home turf as well.
Yeah, at Old Trafford. Bananas. Absolutely bananas.
No, incredible player. I think, my number 2. I don't think there's been a more complete centre forward in world football.
It's up there. The only thing that you can really kind of throw at him is again towards the latter part of his career, the shape that he kind of got himself in. He did have a couple of injuries though, didn't he? But
he I think similarly to Ronaldinho, seemed to lose a bit of his fight.
Do you think that's because I think it's a bit of a common theme with Brazilians? I feel like they start off excellent, and then where they've come from a bit of a poorer background, when they then hit the top and they've achieved what they wanted to achieve and they've made some money, they then kind of drop off a little bit.
I think that was true probably in the mid-noughties. I'm not sure it's as true now. I think
maybe not so much now.
A certain sense of professionalism about it now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Have to be, but even
bar's a lot higher.
But even someone
of Brazil,
but even someone like
football.
Yeah, but even someone like, and he's nowhere near the level of the caliber of the players that we're talking about tonight. But even someone like Oscar, who now plays in China, who could do a job at a Premier League club still. He's only like 28, 29. He fucked off to China, 3-4 years ago, if not a bit longer now. And
there might be a conversation of maybe they're more money orientated than they are glory.
But again, do you think that stems from the fact that a lot of them, when they do come through, it's because they are so, from, like, I want to say a working class
from poor backgrounds.
Yeah, I wanted to say
working class, but they're not.
Yeah, I wanted to say working class background, but it's not even. It's poverty. It's poverty.
It is poverty. Yeah, for a lot of these players.
So then once they've had a bit, especially once they've won a World Cup and they've got a few million in the bank, they're going to be sitting there going, well, I just play football because I like it. I don't really care for all this eating bananas and nutritionist. You can shove that up your ass. I'm going to go have some fun.
I think it's like a carnival thing as well, isn't it? It's that Brazilian sense of we're just here for a good time. As much as we are. It's not a job to them. It's pure love.
Yeah.
And once it's kind of
once it becomes a job, they don't want to know because they don't play football for that. Yeah.
No, it's for the joy of. I know. I'll tell you, like when I was on Rio, I went to Rio a few years ago, and it is incredible. Like I was on the beach on Copacabana, and everyone is playing football. It's like it's pure passion. And I remember we played beach football against this like 70-year-old, and he was just like schooling everybody, just like loads of kids. He's just there like almost with his eyes closed, just like dribbling the ball about. And I think that kind of sums up that Brazilian love for the game. It's not about winning titles so much. It's not about all the accolades. It's about enjoying the game. As you say, once you've kind of lost the love of it, which I think you do once it becomes a job that you've done for 7-8 years of your life, like, well, now I don't really care. I'm just going to have fun, and kind of this is a secondary thing rather than actually being the thing that I'm focused 100% on.
Yeah,
I think back then, I think less so now.
Yeah, right. No, I hear you, mate. Definitely, I hear you. No, that's again Ronaldo. I think we're all in agreement on that one. That's a brilliant shout. So was that your number 3, Matt, and your number 2, Simon?
My number 2.
So do you still need to do your number 3, Simon?
I do, yeah.
Yep.
So my number 3 is the other Dutch master, not Johan Cruyff, Marco van Basten.
I really considered Van Basten.
Yeah, I mean,
I was reading up about him today.
Huh?
I was reading up about him today because I knew the name, but I didn't know too much about him.
So I mean, we
talk about his goal in the final.
We can 88. I mean, that's the one thing that Van Basten has over Johan Cruyff is he won the international tournament.
Yeah, he did.
in the 88 tournament. And best player, scores that amazing goal in the final.
Didn't he win like 3 Ballon d'Ors in a row, Van Basten?
Potentially. I didn't look it up to that extent, but yeah, it certainly sounds believable.
Because I think before Messi, he was like the first one to do it, I think.
Yeah. But just some of the tricks, flicks.
Sorry, mate, did you say yeah, he did?
No, it 2.
He won 2 in a row. Oh, he won 2 in a row. He might have been the first to win 2 in a row then.
Yeah. But yeah, and he's still got the Van Basten, obviously the skill named after him as well. He was just a great player, and that goal in '88. That's the iconic Van Basten moment. That goal should never go in. It's unbelievable.
Well, the thing is as well, because I can't remember who the player was that pinged the ball now, but the player...
I can tell you that. Arnold Muren, because he was an Ipswich player from the 80s.
Lovely.
There's the other Ipswich connection.
Love it. Because he has admitted in interviews that the ball he played in he thinks it was a terrible ball, but Van Basten was so good, he made it into an excellent ball.
It's like it's slightly overhit, isn't it? It's going towards the corner flag. It's basically going off, and the swerve he gets on it to get it into that top corner, just unbelievable technique and a great player. And I think he's still heavily involved in Ajax. Has been, or certainly was back in the day, in terms of that great academy production line that they have in Ajax. I think he's a big part of that as well. But yeah, I think look at Ronaldinho and the flair. Van Basten had all of that as well, but again, probably had that additional element of working hard, being a team player. Scored a lot of goals from the wing. Incredible talent. And as I say, for everyone, you said Johan Cruyff is obviously revered as one of the greatest, but he didn't win the international tournament for the Netherlands. Marco van Basten did.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I know in Holland, that will always be what he's remembered for, and that goal is worthy of winning any tournament.
I hadn't seen it. I just googled it. I watched it while you were talking, and what an amazing finish! But also the kit is wicked. Oh, I love the kit. For those who haven't seen it,
Dutch have got the best kits, haven't they? Let's be real. The Dutch have got the best.
It's the orange, isn't it? The orange with particularly the Adidas one with the stripes.
It's a sick kit. It's such a good kit.
But yeah, no. So Van Basten for me, number 3. Right up there, one of the best of all time.
Yeah, no, he was phenomenal, wasn't he? And I'm trying to think, clubs, was it Milan? Or
I think Milan.
Because he was playing with Gullit, wasn't he? And Rijkaard.
I think he won like 4 Champions League.
He won because he won a couple with Ajax, I'm sure.
Yeah, again, I did put him in mind because I wanted mine to be more contemporary. But he won the 1998, 1999, and 1993. And those are the 3 years he also won the Ballon d'Or.
So again, you're talking about the best player in the best teams, and I think that's what he was. That's what Van Basten was.
Yeah.
That Dutch side in the 88 Euros had like Rijkaard, Gullit, people like this. He's still easily the best player in the team. Like
that was when and again, we go back to the Ballon d'Ors. I thought he'd won 3. I was probably getting a bit confused, thinking he'd won 3 in a row. But before Messi and Ronaldo, for a player to win 3 is unheard of.
Yeah,
absolutely mental. I really did think about him. It was just, there's so many players.
Yeah, there is. So
again, my number 11. That's what I'm gonna go. That's what I'd say, Van Basten. But no, absolute, just outstanding, great player. So your that was your number 3, wasn't it, Simon?
It was.
So your number 2, then, Matt.
Okay, so we'll go my number 2 next. My number 2 is a Frenchman.
I think it's going to be the same Frenchman that's my number 1, but we'll.
Potentially, I'm not sure. It's Thierry Henry.
Oh, it's not then.
Oh, okay.
The reason I put Thierry Henry in here is because, again, I made my list super contemporary. We're not going to talk about the Invincibles because, and we've already talked about Thierry Henry. For me, he was one of the most exciting footballers of that kind of generation in the early noughties. I think not only did he win a World Cup with France, he won the Euros with France, he won the Premier
Champions League with Barcelona.
But
And he won
well,
everything there is to win. He won, yeah.
And he
played
such lovely
routinely brilliant in all of those performances as well.
Yeah, there's not a club in the world
at different stages of his career as well. Because by the time he won the Champions League with Barcelona, he was getting on a bit.
Must be early 30s by that point, I would have thought.
Yeah. But yeah, such an amazing player.
Like I think we can all agree. Probably one of those players where, as a kid, we were the right age to kind of be watching Thierry Henry in the Premier League.
Peak of Henry.
Yeah, 100. But we grew up watching Henry and going like, "Wow, this guy is unbelievable."
I mean, he scored 30 goals on like 4 different occasions, I think, for Arsenal or something.
Unbelievable.
Like 4 different seasons.
Yeah, no, honestly, and he just the way he would just it just made it look. A lot of these players do, right? But he in particular just made football look so easy.
Yeah,
he just glided past players.
He ran past defenders like he was playing in a park with someone, and he's just unbelievable. So that's really why he's so high for me.
Yeah, no, just phenomenal player, Thierry Henry. Again, he was one that I had to think of because when you think of his career. What he did for the, part of the reason why the Premier League is so revered. Thierry Henry won everything at international level and club level as well. Whereas, quite a few of our players won either or, some of them won everything at club level and then not international or vice versa. So yeah, to have done both, phenomenal.
I mean, there's lots of players that have put Arsenal really on the map and obviously solidified it was that period of dominance. But I don't think you can talk about that without mentioning Thierry Henry.
No.
I agree.
Them the club they are.
I completely agree. Phenomenal player. So I think solid shout, mate. Your runner-up, number 2. So Simon, who's your number 2, mate?
So we said Ronaldo just had.
Of course we did. So who takes your crown, Matt? Your number 1.
Wait, have you done your number 2?
Oh, it's Di Stefano. Mine's Di Stefano, number 2. So you'd obviously talked about Puskás before.
Of course.
And it kind of links in a lot with that. I think for me, and obviously again, Puskás and that Real Madrid team in general, 308 goals in 396 games for Real Madrid, which is just ludicrous. It was weird because he kind of played for like Argentina and Spain as well, which was kind of, again, it's so drastic you wouldn't see something like that now. But he won 8 La Ligas over a 10-year spell. And, him, Puskás, that Real Madrid squad, they kind of made not only Real Madrid what it is now, but the European Cup what it is now. They won. He won 5 in a row. 5 in a row. The first 5. And just an outrageous talent. Di Stefano. And just brilliant. Again, I feel like a lot of what you said with Puskás kind of links in with Di Stefano, because I was, when you said him, I was really glad you had him, because I feel like both, it's kind of like a Xavi and Iniesta kind of thing. Just
in terms of like the strike partnership, they're probably the original strike partnership. Would you say? Like,
definitely,
when you go strike partnerships, you go Puskás, Di Stefano. That's like the first one people seem to like talk about.
100%.
The
100%. So that was my number 2, and now on to your crown, Matt. Who is your number 1?
A fellow Frenchman, Zinedine Zidane.
Same.
There we go.
So,
Zizou.
Honestly, just like...
Call it a wrap there, boys. You don't need to say anything.
I mean, I don't want to talk about trophies. For me, it's that goal. It's just that goal. That's the only reason. I don't need another reason.
I think Zidane is... I think this is his greatest achievement. To unify the 3 hosts in winning a list.
Definitely.
I think that's the first time that's happened as well.
Yeah, no, because even the Premier League moments, me and you went with Aguero, and Matt went with Leicester at 1.
Leicester,
yeah, and I think Thierry Henry for greatest Premier League was 1, 1, and 2 as well.
Yeah. But
Zinedine Zidane, he's just all round brilliant, isn't he? Great off both feet. His range of passing is ridiculous. You talk about goal against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. Great goal. Left foot, wrong foot behind him, swiveling it back of the net. Vital in that French World Cup win in '98 as well.
He scored in that final.
Yeah, but the only gutting thing for Zidane is that last game, that because people remember that a lot more now. That I feel.
Well, it's because, I mean, not only
almost revere him for it.
But the thing is as well.
Sad thing about, go on, George.
I was going to say, because it's not like it's made worse by the fact that the Zidane was who Zidane was, and his last, as you said, it was his last ever game. But if that was just any other, kind of any other good enough player to win the World Cup that did that. But when you think that of everything, he'd kind of dragged them to that final that year as well, Zidane, and. Yeah, it was supposed to be the perfect end to almost the perfect career.
I mean, he scored in the final as well. People forget he scored the penalty.
Yeah,
in the
that
final.
penalty. Yeah.
So in that regard, it could have been the perfect final. Zidane scores a goal and takes France to the tournament. But as I say, people seem to be like, "Oh, Zidane, the headbutt." No, that was the end of a very illustriously good long career. If that's what you remember it for, you don't remember it.
I think for me, that's what kind of is so quintessential about him, is that not only was he such an amazing footballer, but he didn't take anyone like him.
He was a maverick.
He was such a maverick, and I think for me that almost makes him more endearing to me, because of course, shit. Obviously, you're supporting of that game because obviously it led to what it led to, but. Just the impact, and
a couple of world record fees as well. I mean, that Juventus to Real Madrid was enormous at that time. But it's just you talk about Henry gliding past people. Zidane never looked quick, but he always seemed to beat people.
Yeah,
like he just had that ability of just dropping your shoulder, and he was a master of beating a man without even touching the ball.
His
body.
The amount of times he did that. And I just think, the control that he had over a football and the manipulation of the ball at his feet as well, the way he would beat players, it was just ridiculous. They wouldn't know where the ball was going to go and where he was going to go. It was just incredible. Just a genius, really.
It's that fact it was both feet as well. You could ping it to him at any angle and it would stick. That's how good his touch was.
Yeah.
And he gave drives to every team he was in. And just a perfect move. If you built a midfield player, be Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't think I've got anything more to add than that.
Yeah, no, just outrageous player. Right. So no, I think that's a great summary to end our list. All three, Zidane number one, great stuff. Matt, would you like to go through your 10 for us, please?
Absolutely. So we've got Xavi, Buffon, Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic. Yeah. Sorry, it's all I crossed it out. Anyway, Sergio Ramos, Ronaldinho, Kaká, Modric, Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, and Zidane.
Rally stuff. And your number 10, Simon?
So my list: number 10, mid-table, Ronaldinho, then Xavi, Paolo Maldini, Ferenc Puskás. The Europa League, we've got Kaká and Michel Platini. And at the Champions League spot, we've got Eusebio, Marco van Basten, the original R9 Ronaldo, and top of the tree, Zinedine Zidane.
Lovely stuff. So my 10 are number 10, Andres Iniesta, 9, Garrincha, 8, Bobby Moore, 7, Maldini, 6, Ronaldinho, 5, Ronaldo, 4, Bobby Charlton, 3, Eusebio, 2, Di Stefano, and number 1, Zinedine Zidane. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. That's the final whistle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Midtable and Up podcast. If you enjoy our top 10 lists, please make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Let us know what you would have done differently. If you watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to put your foot through that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, as well as follow us on Spotify, the podcast app, to keep up to date with the series. Thank you very much. See you next time.